Google ads versus Facebook ads for lawyers, which are better? We're gonna break down the pros and cons in this video today because there has been a massive shift in your industry. I've been doing this for 10 plus years. We do a ton of both of these for clients, but there's very specific things that you need to know about in terms of which are better for your law firm and your practice area. So we're gonna break all that down. So over here on the left-hand side, I've got Google ads. Right-hand side, I've got Facebook ads. So we're just gonna kind of compare and contrast them a little bit so you can understand the nuances of them, and I can help you decide which of these are better for you. And before I get into this too, these are advertising tactics, meaning you do have to pay the platform to advertise. These are not organic tactics. We're not talking about SEO, organic social media. And I recommend those things too, but honestly, we have moved into a pay-to-pay industry and platform. Whether you're on Google, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're driving down the highway and you want real estate, it's really hard to get organic reach on anything anymore. So our agency's pivoted heavily in becoming much more of a paid performance marketing agency and advertising agency for our law firm clients. This is all we do. And like I said, we manage millions of dollars in both of these per month for our clients. So it really depends on who you are, where you are, practice area you're doing if you want to get the most out of these platforms. So Google Ads over here on the left side runs on a cost per click basis. That means when somebody goes to Google and searches divorce attorney Miami or car accident attorney near me and they click on the ad, there's an associated cost per click with the keyword search that they use. You do a bunch of keyword research, you see the estimated cost per click, so you know basically what you're gonna pay, and then every time somebody clicks on that, then you pay Google for that click. Now, if you're in bankruptcy, those clicks can be as low as $10. If you're in personal injury, they can be as high as $450, right? So it depends on the practice area you're in the market that you're in. And basically that cost per click is determined by how many other people are bidding on those keywords. So it's very expensive, but it's also kind of a known quantity, which is nice about Google is that you can walk in to a campaign knowing essentially what you're going to get based on a forecasting model. We have a forecasting model that we run that's great, that shows our clients, if you're spending $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 a month, this is how many clicks you can expect to get. And then based on our standard conversion rates from click into call or click into lead, this is what you can expect to pay per lead, and then you can understand what your intake conversion rates look like. Now, Facebook's different. Facebook works on a cost per impression basis. Facebook runs, it's called CPM, which is basically cost per 1,000 impressions. So what that means is that based on the audience or the demographic that you want to target, you're going to get charged based on how competitive it is. Same thing, it's a real estate game, right? But instead of getting charged per click, you're getting charged to show up on the real estate. Now your cost per click is determined by how many people take action, right? And the challenging part about Facebook is that there's really no way for us to know what that cost per impression is because it's so dynamic, right? Like if you want to target wealthy people in Miami, Florida, blah, 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 whatever, then we don't know what that is until you actually run the ads and we see the CPM. Now the CPM, the cost per impression, is actually kind of irrelevant because with Facebook, we're not even looking at cost per click. We're actually looking at cost per action, which is cost per lead and then cost per signed case. So essentially what you do on Facebook, and you do this on Google too, but you set up a conversion, right? Now Google, you're measuring cost per click because the cost per click is kind of locked in, and using that cost per click, you can forecast, like I said, to understand what your cost per lead might be. And then the client be like, hey, we're not paying $1,000 per lead, so let's find different keywords that we can go after, different intent, different locations, different sub-practice areas maybe. But with Facebook, it's different, right? Facebook, you can actually lower your cost per lead based on the engagement. And we're gonna talk more about that, but that's why Facebook is so awesome. And that's why the creative there is so important in terms of the video and the images, because you're advertising against a set audience essentially, right? And you lower your cost per lead, your cost per action based on how good your ads are. So that's why Facebook can get much, much, much cheaper, and it can perform better and better and better over time. And just generally speaking too, I mean, if you were gonna say, because we do know what the cost per click and the cost per lead off this is. So if we're looking at a car accident attorney in Miami, Google ads versus Facebook ads, cost per click is usually $400, right? Cost per click is usually like $5, right? So we're talking about significantly less. I'm bad at math. But then also the cost per lead on Google is usually around, 1,000 to 1,500, and then on Facebook it's usually like 200, right? So the cost is significantly less per lead, but the quality is a little bit different too because Google is a high intent platform. Which brings me right into the next point, right? With Google, mainly you're just gonna go after bottom funnel high intent keywords. So what that means is that if somebody is searching directly for you, they're at the bottom. If they're searching for a lawyer, means they're at the bottom of the funnel, right? Very high intent traffic. And you kind of want to stick to those with Google, because once you get outside of those, you end up paying for stuff that never turns into a client. You can pretty much guarantee that people looking for car accident lawyer near me, bankruptcy lawyer near me, are going to end up not only being a lead, but potentially converting into becoming a client. So it's very easy to forecast and baseline. Now, again, you're paying a premium for that in terms of the cost per click. So depending on what you're willing to pay for a client, that cost can be very high, but Google's very good at high intent bottom funnel traffic. But Facebook is good for all stages of intent. The number one question I get with Facebook is that clients will ask me, like, how do you know who's in market for a car accident or for a divorce attorney? It's like, I don't know, but Facebook does. Facebook, pretty much every person in this country has Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp installed on their phone, right? And when you opt in to the terms of services, you're pretty much giving those platforms access to everything in your phone, meaning your phone knows everything about you. It knows if you're going through a divorce, your phone knows about it. Trust me. Because you're talking about it, you're texting about it, you're searching about it, you're all these different things, right? Now, you can't target people specifically within Facebook going through a divorce, but if you use the right messaging, Facebook can then match your creative to that audience. It's very, very, very advanced. And what's good about it too is that, so again, like, we're able to target people that are in market, same thing as here, right? Now, we can't do it as simply as we can on Google. We have to use creative and messaging in order to do that. But what's also very, very powerful about Facebook is we can target top and mid funnel too, very low cost. And you could do that on Google. You could say, okay, well, let's say I'm a divorce attorney, right? I could target people on Google saying, divorce attorney Miami, hire a divorce attorney, right? And then I could also bid on keywords that are a little bit more high in the funnel, like what to do during a separation, right? And you could run them to a blog post. You're just paying a lot more for that traffic versus on Facebook, you can run videos saying, if you're going through a separation with your husband or wife, here's 3 things that you should do in order to protect your assets in the future. You can run that as a short video and you're gonna pay pennies on that. And you're also getting much more brand awareness and reach, and you're also building an audience inside of Facebook that you can then remarket to, saying, hey, I do free consultations if you're going through a separation, right? So Facebook, you can keep it all inside the platform, and you can basically build a funnel within the platform versus Google. You're just paying for a click to go somewhere, and the economics don't always work out. But Facebook is the best platform in the world when it comes to understanding intent, even though you can't target intent, and being able to hit people at multiple stages of the funnel. And that's, like I said, that's how brands are built, right? Being able to deliver content to them at different stages of the funnel. All right, so back to Google Ads here. So Google Ads runs on keyword targeting, right? So again, within Google, you just go in, you basically set the keyword buckets, the keyword groups, and then the specific keywords that you want to target for your ads to show up for. On Facebook, it's more of a demographic, interest, audience-based targeting, right? So on Facebook, we can't go in there and type in the same type of thing. And for the most part too, where Facebook is going, it's very broad targeting. Facebook, because it has so much data, doesn't want us to cut it off at the knees, meaning it doesn't want you to put in too much targeting because you could actually be limiting your audience. Facebook is kind of like, hey, wink, wink, like, we know who you want to target, just give us the right creative. And when I say creative, I mean videos, I mean images, I mean landing pages, and I mean written copy, right? So something that our agency does better than anyone in the world, I think, is understanding creative messaging, creative variables, creative variants, and creative volume on Facebook to be able to let Facebook know exactly who we want to target, and we're able to bring in the same quality leads off Facebook for much cheaper, even though we don't have the same ability to target like we do on Google. So on Google, it's just blue text links, right? And I hate this, there's no differentiation. You're just looking at blue text links versus Facebook. We're talking about video and multiple placements. So what I mean by that too, again, you type in divorce attorney, and if you're a searcher, how do you pick the difference between the 4 ads that are showing up? You don't. You pop them all open, you're looking at all 4 of them at the same time, right? And you're comparing and contrasting. There's not a whole lot of brand that goes into Google marketing, despite what a lot of those Google marketers are telling you. But on Facebook, we're talking about video, which is by far and away the best way to build brand and to get also just to recall, right? When we talk about top of mind awareness, you guys always think about billboards, but it's really video, right? Video has the strongest form of recall out of any multimedia media on the planet ever. And also too, is that there's multiple placements, right? So we're talking about Facebook and Instagram, both at the same time. We're talking about stories, we're talking about reels, we're talking about feeds, we're talking about sidebar navigations, we're talking about video streams. There's so many different places that your ads can show up to meet the person where they're actually using the platform. And on top of that too, how many times a day do people check Facebook and Instagram? A lot. There's data that shows that people check it like 20 times a day and they're spending hours on the platform. Versus Google, they go there one time, they click on it and they're done. And they're not gonna remember you after that too. If they convert, that's great, you get them on their phone, whatever, but like, they're not going back and being like, man, what was that like amazing Google blue text link ad that I saw? I can't, but on Facebook, they are doing that, I promise you. Because people come to me and tell me all the time, so from years later, from ads of mine that they remember, and they never became clients or customers, right? Because they're sticky, and there's a lot of recall when it comes to doing this type of marketing. Finally here, Google's just brutally competitive. Hyper brutally competitive, especially in the injury space. You know, you got to pony up quite a bit of cash to do it, but Facebook, it's not competitive at all. It's really not. On Facebook, you know, in the personal injury space, you're competing against lead generation firms. You're not competing against other attorneys. In every other space, you're competing against nobody. Like, we absolutely crush it for clients that are in the non-personal injury space because none of y'all want to advertise there. I get it, because it takes work. You're like, I don't want to do video. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't have time. I don't care. Like, I just don't care, right? Like, if you don't want to pony up tens of thousands of dollars, right, month over month over month, then you have to be doing Facebook advertising. You have to be doing Facebook advertising. I've been making so much content, so much videos about this, and like, it blows my mind how much resistance I still get from this, from you guys and gals that want to make money and build your businesses, but you're not willing to dedicate 2 hours a month to doing it. Like, it's mind-blowing. It really is, like, mind-blowing. It's not hard. We'll give you all the scripts, we'll give you all the templates, and even better, we've gotten very good at using AI, and I've got other videos on our YouTube channel that will show you like what creative actually looks like. Like, we don't need you to sit down in a suit and tie with a film crew talking at your desk. Like, nobody wants to see that, I'm sorry. Like, we have a very specific type of creative that we understand that people actually want to see on these platforms because it's already what they're consuming. We're just very good at then translating that to whatever vertical that you're in, whether that's family, business, criminal, injury, whatever it is, we know exactly how to do that. So if you're interested in Google ads or Facebook ads, and I know I kind of downsold Google ads here, but I do that all the time because my job is to make you money. My job is not to be allegiant to Google. And like a lot of these other agencies that you talk to that are pitching you nonstop, they're like, have you heard of LSAs? And it's like, yeah, I've heard of it and I've tried it and it didn't work because the costs were too high. And they're like, well, maybe we'll just do it better. Like, no. Like, that happens on Facebook. Like, Facebook is a creative process. There's so many different elements and levers that we can pull to increase performance if you're doing Facebook ads, or to get you to a baseline level of performance very quickly. So if you're interested, hit the link below, take you directly to my calendar, and you'll have a conversation with me. And we'll see if these are a good fit. If not, just like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.